Virtuoso Legal is an intellectual property specialist law firm. What this means is that we only do IP, and that is 100% it. This kind of specialism helps us help businesses with things like brands, contracts, trade secrets, designs, copyright, and so on and so forth, in a way that's very, very precise. Oftentimes people would think that a specialist tends to result in it being quite expensive, but in fact the solutions that we provide are so quick and cost effective that actually it works out better for most people. Virtuoso Legal was a firm set up in 2007 by Elizabeth Ward, who's the founder and principal. After working in large law firms, she found that IP was being underserved and kind of like seen as a bit of an afterthought within kind of commercial setting law firms, within commercial law firms. And as a result, that kind of very precise surgical specialism was the foundation for the business, and it's something which we've focused on since that time. Virtuoso Legal help all sorts of different businesses, whether they're big international businesses or small SMEs just getting ready for liftoff. What's most important is that these businesses are kind of built on good ideas, and these good ideas are kind of what set them apart in their commercial space. Very important at the beginning of businesses when they're small to make sure that these unique characteristics within the business remain unique and aren't kind of taken by other competitors or become less unique by not really being understood and held within the business. Intellectual property is massively misunderstood within businesses. In fact, nowadays, especially within the UK at least, intellectual property happens to be the biggest asset that most companies have. I'll explain that a little bit. Essentially, intellectual property is the name for assets which are intangible within a business but are protected through things called intellectual property, something called intellectual property law, I do this, but protected via intellectual property law. Whereas in the past, before the digital revolution, as it were, with the internet, most businesses on their asset sheet owned buildings, inventory, things like vehicles and so on and so forth. And this was essentially what was the value of the business. Nowadays, most businesses, what makes them valuable is the way that they work, the way that they stand out in the marketplace. And this is all intellectual property. And this is all protected by intellectual property law. As such, businesses that really, really understand the intangible assets within their business and start to protect, grow, and leverage these assets are the ones that really kind of make a dent in the marketplace. So this might be things such as the brands, which they're known for, their kind of look and feel within the marketplace. But it also might be inventions, things such as creativity protected via copyright, insofar as ways that they speak about what they do, videos such as this one. This is all kind of protected via IP. I'm trying to think how I rounded this enough.
Get in touch.
Examples, wasn't it? So yeah. And again, there are many examples of companies which get intellectual property and really leverage it. The big two that I'm very keen, big two that stand out to me are McDonald's. So McDonald's is a restaurant franchise. Essentially, they have a kind of book, as it were, of how a McDonald's should look and run, including a brand manual. And if anybody wants to kind of get involved in
we need a green room or something.
We do, yeah. This is probably the worst room to do it. And if anybody wants to become a McDonald's franchisee, they have to use the brand in a very specific and restricted way. And then also McDonald's do even go so far as creating a manual of how every single menu item has to be cooked by the McDonald's staff. So what's quite interesting there is this creates a level of consistency across all McDonald's around the world. And it's that kind of consistency and that specificity in terms of how things are done, which McDonald's protects very, very, very vigorously. That is what makes McDonald's McDonald's, and it's what keeps people coming back. So things of that nature, even in a small marketplace, if you are somebody who's at the more the SME level, the way that you look and feel and the way that you go about providing your goods and services is something which you might want to look at in terms of how that can be protected via intellectual property. Otherwise, you do potentially run the risk of other people kind of coming in and siphoning off a lot of that value. So if you're a business owner and you're looking to kind of understand and start to kind of harness your IP, there's several things that we can do to help you. First things first, I'd advise having a look on our website. We've got a bunch of resources on there to help people begin to understand where the IP lies in their business and what their first steps might be. You can find these in parts of our websites like the FAQ section, which has hosted a lot of FAQ section. In the FAQ section, we've essentially answered a lot of the most common questions that people have and that they come to us with when they're inquiring with us in terms of how to go about that beginning process of protecting their IP. Following on from that, you may also look to kind of download some of the guides we have on our website. These are quite quickly signposted on the front page of our website as well. Further to that, if you're really looking to get started, you may want to book in a call with us. We operate on a kind of basis where we're happy to speak to you from the outset to kind of understand whether we're the best people to help you. Sometimes you're not ready for the kind of assistance that we can provide, and sometimes you're ready, you're good to go, essentially. What we'll do is we'll make sure that in that initial call we're working out whether we're the best solution for you and help you kind of have a bit of a sense of the landscape of your IP, and then the priorities that you might have in terms of the actions that you'll probably want to take. As said before, what we like to do is to be a partner with our clients, so we're not going to be in the position where we're going to suddenly do any work that's not genuinely commercially important for you and your business. We're here to help you make more money, not to take money from you. So we always like to operate in that way where you feel like speaking to us is going to be something which is worth your time rather than a drain on your resources. So I would encourage you to get in touch with us, even if it's just to simply ask a question. If that is the case, then we can provide resources in relation to that, and it helps us understand a bit more about what people are looking for. And again, if you need some help, we are one of the best placed solutions to help you in the most cost effective and efficient way. So do get in touch.
Good.
I was trying not to be less googly